Greetings fellow gamers, I'm the Soulsborne Seeker and today I'll be giving my first impressions on BioGun, a twin-sticker shooter action Metroidvania game that's being developed by Dapper Dog Digital and currently expected to release sometime in 2024 for PC by publisher Ravenage Games. The publisher was kind enough to provide me with a preview copy that covers the beginning hour and a half of the game, which essentially functions as a prologue, so all of my feedback will be based on my experience in these early biomes. Said preview demo version will also become available to the public on the 26th of January 2024, so that everyone interested can get a taste of BioGun prior to its eventual full release. BioGun takes place in a fictional version of our world after the sudden emergence of an infectious disease that targets canines. Appropriately branded a pet-demic and nicknamed the Dooper Virus, this plague has claimed the lives of countless dogs, with scientists unable to put a stop to its lethal advance. Enter Dr. X, a man whose dog is going through her final hours as a result of the infection. Refusing to let the virus take its course, Dr. X develops a last resort vaccine that takes the form of Beck, a lovable potential cure in the form of a pig that is injected in the dog's body. Armed with a blaster and in constant communication with the doctor, Beck will have to traverse the inner systems of the sick pup while shooting his way through aggressive organisms and parasites, as he races against the clock to beat the sickness before it does what it's meant to do. On his way, he will receive assistance from a large cast of colorful characters that personify the various biological defense systems of the dog, with each one brimming with personality from their appearance all the way to their conversations. The first thing that truly stood out to me with BioGun was its unique choice of setting. With the game transpiring within the body of a living animal, it was truly refreshing and exciting to see how each biome corresponded to the various different biological systems that make up the sum of said body, as well as the way in which the artists depicted the diverse organic elements one could expect to find in each section, from the healthy cells and tissue all the way to the aggressive parasitic organisms and virus carriers trying to take you down. For example, part of the demo transpired within the urinal tract of the dog, which was clogged as a side effect of the sickness, resulting in various segments being submerged in the yellow liquid, which you had to figure out a way to lower by strengthening the pup's organism via certain means to help her release it. Special note here should also be given to the game's presentation. I have to admit that each area I got to explore was a visual pleasure, with a wonderfully nostalgic art style and vivid colors bringing to mind cartoons I used to watch back in the 90s, making the whole experience even more powerful for me. Staying a bit on setting, I have to say it isn't just great to look at but also to explore, with each biome containing a variety of hidden sections that you have to shoot at in order to reveal and access, but also certain platforming segments that you have to overcome in order to reach a desired prize, always with the help of various abilities at your disposal, some of which have to be gained by taking down challenging enemies. Among the prizes that can be discovered in secret areas are globs, the game's main currency, health and energy upgrades, as well as cosmetic items like hats and hoodies that can make Beck even more hilarious. Exploration is further enhanced by certain sections that contain focal points of the dog's nervous system, which can be upgraded by using items known as synapses in order to progressively reveal more and more information about the map section, until eventually marking secrets, unexplored areas, as well as main and optional bosses on the map. The map itself is quite easy to understand and always clear about your current location, as well as the locations of important elements such as shops, save points, and fast travel sections. Shops are used to purchase certain helpful chips that can be equipped to give benefits for combat and exploration. Save points allow you to heal as well as equip and unequip the various chips that you may have found or bought. Fast travel sections make your life easier by having you move quickly from one biome to another in what is perhaps one of the most creative systems I have seen, since instead of teleporting as is usually the case in the genre, you are instead sucked into a syringe by the doctor and then injected into the target location, which I thought was quite novel. Exploration wise, you'll also get the chance to handle secondary quests given to you by the characters you encounter, including one that is reminiscent of Hollow Knight, in which you will have to find and save certain canine creatures that have been lost across the map. The game also appears to have an interesting system in place that will have you finding and scanning certain elements for potential rewards, but I didn't get a chance to try that in my playthrough, so I cannot expand upon its exact utility. Moving on to combat, BioGun leans into its twin-stick shooter nature by featuring frenetic battles that require snappy reflexes in order for you to emerge victorious. On a basic level, Beck is equipped with his BioBlaster, which you aim and shoot in 360-degree fashion, either with the right stick if you're playing with a controller, or the mouse if you're with a mouse and keyboard setup. Overall, movement is fast and fluid, and offers a lot of freedom when it comes to performing fast-paced maneuvers in the heat of battle, especially when it comes to some of the more chaotic encounters you will come across. Your approach to microscopic warfare is further supported by the presence of the aforementioned chips, which can be equipped at save points to offer certain advantages such as being able to heal while moving, as well as increasing your damage output significantly at the cost of a low health threshold. Speaking of healing, BioGun takes inspiration from Hollow Knight and allows you to accumulate energy by hitting enemies, which can then be consumed to increase your health. On the topic of bosses, I'll admit that BioGun surprised me pleasantly by featuring some incredibly diverse encounters, with the admittedly several big bads I got a chance to square off against during the preview. I loved how each villain was decidedly different from each other, with every boss battle requiring a completely different approach based on the enemy's attack patterns as well as the arenas themselves, making every fight a unique and challenging experience. If all bosses in the game follow the same mentality, then we're in for a wild ride for sure. Before I reach the end of this preview, I must say that there was one aspect of the game that frustrated me a bit, and that aspect was related to its controls. Having played the game with a PS4 controller, I quickly came to the realization that there was an issue I was dealing with when it came to the relationship between jumping and shooting. More specifically, with the right analog stick being responsible for aiming and shooting and the X button responsible for jumping being right next to it, it quickly became apparent that I had a problem with jumping and shooting around me, with the biggest problem being shooting below me since my thumb couldn't move fast enough from the button to the analog stick and vice versa. The good news is that the game also incorporated the jump button to the left forward trigger of the controller, thus resolving the issue. However, as someone who has been conditioned to mainly associate the X button with jumping, getting used to this new button led to some very frustrating situations when it came to combat and platforming, where I would frequently mix my buttons and subsequently start performing actions I didn't mean to, which often led to my demise. Thankfully, I eventually got used to the control scheme, and the game also offers a remapping of the buttons for you to set them up as you see fit, but I felt it was something that needed mentioning, though I understand that the developers did the best they could given the twin-stick foundation of the title. In conclusion, I loved my experience with the prologue of BioGun. I adored the novelty of the biological setting, I found the story fun and nostalgic in a 90s cartoon kind of way, I had a blast with the exploration and combat, and I enjoyed the variety when it came to boss fights. Admittedly, the jump and shoot control scheme did frustrate me initially, but I eventually got used to it and stopped getting confused. This prologue was enough of an appetizer for me to really look forward to the complete version of the game, with BioGun being one of the most novel Metroidvanias I have played in recent years. What are your thoughts on BioGun? Had you heard about it before this preview? Are you planning to try it out when it becomes available? Let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Soulsborne Seeker out!